So once that's in place, Christine, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay. Okay, do you think we can begin now?
Yep.
All right, good morning. Good afternoon, actually. Sorry. My name is Christine Price. I am the chair for the Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Education for Persons with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. It is 1:06, and I would like to call, it is 1:06 on 7/30, 2021, and I would like to call this meeting to order. This meeting is held via Zoom. Before I begin, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome those who have joined via teleconferencing and ask that they adhere to the following etiquette. Please be aware, although we are in a Zoom meeting, this meeting is still being broadcast via the internet. Mute your microphone when not speaking. Always keep your camera on. The THECB staff will establish a quorum through a roll call. Each member should identify themselves or herself prior to speaking for the record. Wait for one person to finish before speaking. Otherwise, comments may become muddled or unclear. Motions will be voted on by roll call. At this point, I'll turn it over to Waylon for roll call.
All right. Thank you, Christine. So members will begin with the roll call to ensure we have a quorum. When I call your name, please respond to confirm you are on the call. Jennifer Alexander. Robert Bazooka. Rick Calvert. Leanne Godinez.
Here.
Jennifer Hines.
Here.
Taylor Fiddler. Here. Thank you. Linda Litzinger.
Here.
Ashley Ford.
Here.
Jana McLean. Susan Maraska.
Here.
Christine Price.
Here.
DJ Puente. Jolene Sanders.
I'm here. I'm putting a toddler down for nap, so I'll turn my video on shortly.
Thank you. Nina Zuna.
Here.
Beth Stalvey.
Here.
Agatha Thibodeau.
Here.
Dalen Zane. All right. Any other guests or members that I have not called? One second, I see someone in the waiting room. All right. Thanks for joining us. DJ, can you please acknowledge your present? DJ.
Hello.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. I was just making sure.
Sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
That's okay. We just wanted to make sure we had you for attendance. Thank you for joining us. All right. All right, I believe that's it. So please record in the minutes that we have quorum. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to the presiding officer, Christine Price for the remaining of the agenda.
Thank you. All right, the first topic we have is to approve the minutes from our last meeting that was on April 30th. I sent you guys the meeting. I'd like to do a motion for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
So before we call a motion, is there any discussion or feedback for those minutes? And something that, all right.
Yes, Jennifer?
Yes, it says I was present and I wasn't present. So I just wanted to correct that.
Okay. We'll make that exception or address that. The other thing, let's see where I have it. We had a guest, Sabrina Gonzalez. I can't remember who had invited her or her role. Do anybody remember?
Beth, isn't she with TCDD?
I'm sorry, it cut out again. Who are you talking about?
Sabrina Gonzalez?
Yes, she is an education, or yes, she is our education specialist in our public policy team.
Oh, okay.
In addition, I did not attend April meeting. Jennifer Martinez attended in my place from the ARC.
Thanks, Ashley. That's why we do this. Okay, I think we're good.
All right.
Christine, so with the exceptions or the corrections for identifying Sabrina Gonzalez and the absence of Jennifer Hines and the sub for Ashley Ford with Jennifer Martinez. Seeing no other feedback, then you can call a motion.
Okay, I once again call a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Mhm.
And the time is 1:13. Those were for April 30th. Anybody?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Please note that the minutes have been approved from our last meeting.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor? Sorry.
All right,
Aye.
all right. Good job. Seeing none, the motion passes.
I see those notes now. My bad.
That's all right. You're doing good, Christine. You're doing good.
All right. So now that we have passed that, we can move on to our very first, our fourth item technically on the agenda, which is to refresh our inclusion letter. I wanted to ask, it is one of we created, the last time we met outside of this meeting, we talked about our goals, and we had 4 goals. And those 4 goals were to attend the PEAT meeting, create a comprehensive college list and resource and agency list and implementation recommendations. One of those also included our inclusionary letter that we want to send to the 60 by 30. Currently, we need to change the head of it because it says Deanne, so we'll change that. Beth, Sue, and I'm trying to think if there was anybody else when we did that meeting. It was a while ago. But we need to update it. That way we can submit it. And so I'm really asking, I really want to know if there's anybody who has any discussions on it. Anything we want to add. It was pretty much complete. So other than changing the chair or anything like that, I was wanting to know if I could get a couple people to volunteer to just finish that up and get it ready for us. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer? We got
I'm going to
Taylor.
volunteer for that.
Okay, awesome. Let's see, and I'm gonna send out, Taylor, I don't think you got a copy of it, so let me grab it. And Waylon, please refresh me. Am I allowed to share my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Just making sure. I'm gonna share my screen once I pull it up, and I will also email it out to everybody as well, because I know we have some new members, Taylor, and I don't want to, who were not included in that. So let me get that pulled up. All right. All right, so here is the letter that we had originally created. And so it's pretty much done. As you can see, all that needs to be done is updating it, proofreading it, and then we highlighted parts that we may want to change the last meeting. Correct me if that is not right, Beth. Is that what you remember, and Sue? Yeah, we were pretty much finished.
That's what
We
I
just needed
remember.
an update. Okay, so this will not take very long. And then, of course, to change the top, and I can go ahead and actually do that right now. And then we did not put an address yet because we were not sure what to put, and that the date will need to be changed because this was back in February. So yeah, so it's been a minute since we've looked at this. Oh, I spelled my own name wrong. All right, so that's really the first item that we really need to focus on. With that being said, we do have a couple things we do need to finish up before we have to submit our report. The report really needs to be finished by October. Is that correct, Waylon? Or October? I meant September. September.
It needs to be done by the end of August. September 1st is when I need to submit our materials.
Okay, yeah. So
for the October meeting.
Right. And so I really need everything we're going to talk about today and assign really needs to be completed in the next couple weeks. With that being said, I also am a program director, and I understand that this is one of the busiest times. So none of the things are very involved. Most of them have already been created. We're just really going to finesse it and submit it. So like with this, it really just needs the final. This is the first draft. We just need the final draft. So proof, changing the highlighted, and making sure the date and all that. So that's it. Real simple, easy. Is there anyone else who would like to help Taylor with that?
I'm fine to help with that. I think I originally wrote a lot of this back in February.
I think so.
I forgot. Yeah. So I would be.
I knew there was someone else.
Yeah, I think I was like, oh yeah, that all looks familiar. I
saw you laugh when I pulled it up. So yeah, I think you and Beth originally compiled it, and then we all met. Yeah. So yes. So really, it is that close to being done. And then we're just going to, the first one really we can have addressed. Who would we address this to, Waylon?
This is up to us to decide as far as, do you want to address it to those that are leading the efforts for that initiative? Do you want to address it to top leadership? As far as up to the commissioner, it's totally up to you all as far as who we want to make sure get this. And I'm open either way.
I think addressing it to the commissioner makes sense.
Sorry, had some barking. So I had to mute. But yes, I think that's true too. I think the commissioner as well. Yeah.
So what you could do, if the commissioners, the one that we're going to address it to, we'll just include those that are also leading the efforts to make sure that they have access to it as well.
Okay. Can
So I'll give you that information.
Okay. I was going to say, can we get a list of that? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. So we're going to have Ashley and Taylor finish this up. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you volunteering. The next thing, okay. On the agenda is to talk about our marketing and outreach updates. Me, Taylor, and Sue gave a presentation to Pete, the Pete meeting. And can somebody remind me what that stands for again? It's Post-Secondary Education
Alliance of Texas.
Thank you. Alliance of Texas. I couldn't remember what the T stood for. And I was like, team or Texas? Thank you so much. And just for anybody who was not here for the last meeting, Nina had brought this to our attention. It's another group that's similar to, well, not similar to this, but doing similar things. And it's a bunch of program directors, people who work with secondary, post-secondary education programs across Texas who are meeting together, and you guys are just starting to work on your mission statement and those kind of things. Is that correct, Nina?
That is correct. Yeah, they felt a need in the state of Texas for these programs to be able to get together, to share resources, and to figure out the best way to, make these programs known across the state of Texas. And you're right in terms of it's kind of similar to some of the stuff that this council is doing with that comprehensive college list and resources. So I felt it was good for the two of us to know each other so there's not duplication, and to be able to support this group as needed.
Thank you. Yes, and it's a little less formal, which is good because they are not confined by any rules. So we shared with them what we've created so far. We shared our last report from last year that we created with them. And we shared our list of colleges that we created, and then also our goals for the future so that they would know as well. Is there anything else, Taylor and Sue, that you would like to add?
I think that's pretty much what we did. It was just mainly to introduce to Pete what our council is doing and what our charge is, and how, where we are as far as what we've accomplished so far, and just kind of reaching out so that we can start collaborating, because in order to do a lot of these recommendations that we're making, we have to be able to meet with the other programs, and we need to be able to meet with TEA, and we need to be able to meet with TWC and all the different, to actually implement these things. So this was really nice. And until we wanted to learn more about Pete as well. So it was good. It was good to connect. And there were some recommendations. There were some things that went back and forth of how best to implement some of these things that we were talking about. But I thought it was a good first step, and for us to continue to communicate, and like Nina said, we don't want to have to reduplicate anything. We want to work together and not have to. We don't want to have too many different things going on. We want to make sure that we're not over duplicating, but we want to make sure that our students and parents and everyone are aware of what we're doing, and make that easier. Make the resources and everything easier for them to know and to navigate how to how to locate these services and how to identify the programs and all of that. So I think that's the outreach part of it, and the recruitment. I think it's making it easier and user friendly. And that I know that we were going to talk about that agency list and all of that as well, but just making it kind of a one-stop thing where they can go and see, where all of these programs are, what are the services, and the sharing best practices, of course, is a big part of the PEAT. So.
Yeah, and that was something that I felt like was really good, because we haven't had time to really do that in our group yet. And so, just really being able to share those resources, what are they working on? And so that's really what it was. We just wanted to, find out what their goals were and share our goals. And it was great. And they have an open house coming up. Let me pull up my calendar.
I believe it's August 4th. Christine, I think it's next week.
I want to say it's next week. So yeah, it's August 4th. And I do plan on attending that. So we'll have more information to share later. But I felt like it was a really good first step, and meeting everybody.
And I would like to thank Taylor. I would like to thank Taylor because when we had our initial meeting, Christine and I were doing most of the talking about what we wanted to do and present. And Taylor was right there. He basically, I don't know how you did it, but he actually created this PowerPoint slide presentation
on the spot
as we were speaking. And even though he wasn't able to make the presentation, you were there with us in spirit, Taylor, because you created this wonderful tool for us to be able to present. So thank you, Taylor.
Well, thanks, Sue. I was just taking everything that y'all had said and putting it in a presentable format. So thanks to y'all for presenting that to them.
Oh yeah, no problem. It went really good, and I'm really glad that we were able to do that and just, open the doors of communication with them. And I also want to thank Taylor, because we were just shooting documents into the chat and he was copying and pasting at lightning speed, and we had the whole presentation ready to go in like an hour and a half. Phenomenal. Thank you so much that was a lifesaver, especially for Sue and I. And I saw, Linda, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just was curious, who chairs Pete, and do they cover every area of Texas?
So that's a great question. I believe the chair is Cheryl. Is that correct, Nina?
I think Cheryl is helping to lead the event, but wants it to be a collaborative process. And they're still working on the goals and mission. I think that's going to be part of the open house too, as well as getting some input.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And I know you're a little under the weather, and I keep making you talk, so I apologize. But yeah, so it's a very collaborative collection of individuals. I know Texas A&M was there. There was a lot of people, and it looked like a lot of people hadn't shown up for the meeting as well too that day. So I'm sure it's going to be more, but they're having an open house to really, get people in and discuss and finalize what they're doing. So they're still working on mission statements, but I'm really glad that we're going to have this more informal group to kind of, supplement and maybe do things that we don't have the bandwidth to get done, and they might. And so, and if nothing else, it's going to be a great place to share resources and really have a place. So I'm really excited about about them beginning, and we'll have more to report once we go to the open house. So anybody else have any comments or questions? All right. With that, we'll go to the next agenda item, which is the comprehensive college list. We had created a comprehensive college list last year. And really, I have to give a huge shout out to Agatha, who did a lot of the legwork, and it was a lot. Just trying to get people to respond back to any of us, but she was very diligent of searching and combing through websites, trying to collect all the information. And so we do have a collected list. I have gotten a few emails from the Pete meeting of other programs that have started that I would like to add, that I will send. This is one of our marketing and outreach goals that we still have left to do. But it's just like the other one, where we're pretty much there. We're this close to having it completed and ready to, be published. And that way it can update the website, or send it to as a recommendation to update the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board website list. And so, yeah, so really we just need to add a few that have popped up in the last year, which is great. Think College is now showing 15 programs, and that's grown by 4 programs, I think, since we started meeting at the beginning. So I think it's just incredible that programs are popping up here and there, and that's great. So we just have to complete the comprehensive list, and it's just a spreadsheet, and then we would just update some of the material, or some of the information is hard to find, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to put in what we have found and add the new programs, and then move on from there. Yes, Jennifer.
And you may have covered this in the last meeting, but I was wondering, is there any even updates about the colleges having to report to the website and update what's already on the coordinating board website? I mean, I know we proposed that requiring colleges to do that and to report those programs, but are they still doing that once a year? Are we still sending something out where they can put in the information so we can have it on the website, or was anything mandated? Do we know anything about that?
Hey, Jennifer, this is Waylon. I don't believe nothing was officially mandated from that, and I will continue to send out the inventory for the programs, and that will be opening up probably within the next week or so. So we'll do that here shortly. We typically do it around school starting back. So
like once a year you contact. Okay.
Annually, we'll open up the server for the survey, and they're allowed to tell us if they got a program and what type of services they have available from that. And then once they update that, it's automatically updated on our website.
And will you be able to tell how many people added or how many responded to your inquiry? Do you have the capacity to do that?
Yeah, on the back end, we should be able to pull that data.
I would be very curious to see how many people, actually fall through and do report it, so we could.
Yeah. So we also have to submit a recruitment survey that I submit every year as well. So it has that pretty much has that information based off of what we had last year and what we received this year.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Yep.
And then, yeah, Jennifer, are you thinking of us comparing the list afterwards? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Absolutely. And Ashley, and I know Ashley and Taylor both have. So Ashley and then Taylor.
Sorry if you hear crying in the back. So basically my question, I guess I have two concerns or questions. I do think that the higher coordinating board mandating that is essential. It's wonderful that Agatha was able to do so much research, but that's not sustainable. And if we're going to have good information and really for this to be a resource for students and families, then it's really essential that we have the coordinating board support for that. And then I guess my second question is just with the comprehensive college list, is that specifically public colleges and universities, or does that also include private? Because the inventory that the coordinating board has currently, it's just with public colleges and universities.
So I was thinking that we would definitely add it as another a recommendation again in our report for this year. I definitely want to, that's one of the reasons I really want the list created, so that we can say, well, here's the complete list that we found from our research, and recommend them, like Jennifer said, compare it against their data and recommend that they have it mandated again, or have it mandated, the reporting. And so that way colleges, hopefully we would have a more comprehensive list if and when this council is no longer in existence. If that ever happens, it would, like Ashley said, it would be sustainable. So I am completely in agreement with that, and I want to add that to our report that we create this year. And Taylor?
Sure, thanks. This is Taylor. Just when we suggest that they mandate this, who is specifically targeted when it's mandated? Does that go out to all of the disability services coordinations, the ADA coordinators on the campuses? Does it go straight to the administration itself?
We did answer this in the past, and I do believe it's every college has a reporting agency. Is that correct, Waylon?
Yes, they have someone that they've designated at their campus. So from what I did last year, from anybody that was registered in our on our platform, I sent that out to them, and anybody that we had identified with programs, I specifically emailed them as well, so they'll have the information, because sometimes these folks that are identified on the campus are not always in the know of what these other programs serve. So I tried to make sure I did both to make sure that communication aligns, and hopefully at least one of them would promote or acknowledge their programs and services.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, covered it right there in that last comment you made. So sometimes just, this hand doesn't always talk to this hand, or this hand's getting ready to do something, but this hand doesn't know quite yet. Right. So, okay, perfect. Thanks.
And we've been at ACC for 15 years, and there are so many people who still do not know, who work in the college, that we exist. So absolutely. So I think just having our list that we're creating will assist Waylon in sending all that out as well, because he'll at least have a comprehensive list of the programs that we found, and he can send it to them and whoever is designated. So I think that's going to be good. Linda.
Thank you. This is Linda Litzinger. Families are really clamoring for this, and I believe it was this group where we had a presentation of a website you could go to as you're considering post-secondary, and it started at age 14, and I can't remember the acronym for the life of me right now, but it would be really good if we could get this information tied in with that product.
Is it, is it through the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board or
It
another
is.
program? Okay.
It is.
There is, yeah, they have a website link where, because Taylor and I and Sue found it last time, where it had a list of the colleges that had reported. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
and are the programs we're talking about included in that exploration?
So that list has not been updated this year. It is the one from the prior year, correct, Waylon?
Yeah, so that only reflects those institutions that manually or physically reported out. That's what that list encompasses. It does not list our extensive list that we've done our own research on to do. And that's why we've been trying to say, as far as the marketing and outreach piece, let's get our list together and make sure we have an individual link that inclusive to everything that we find, because I can't just add those other programs to that inventory if they didn't physically update that when I send out the survey. So that's why we're trying to get all the materials and resources and tools together. And once we have the content together, then we can try to do like another link or subdomain or something like that. Now we have something that's a centralized location or that one-stop shop to say, hey, this is the exclusive list that we found for our research throughout the state. And here are some tools, resources, some contacts, those sort of things that can be, student or parent friendly, those sort of things.
So even if we get our own website or webpage or whatever, our goal is to also make sure that that is very present in that other product where students can go and figure it out at their leisure.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
And it will be on the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. So that's one of the reasons we're collecting all of this data, is to create that page. That's the eventual goal, is to create the page so that it's a one-stop shop, like Waylon was said, for parents, teachers, other program, everybody to use. So yes. And Agatha,
I just wanted to piggyback on what Waylon and you just said to further answer Linda's question. When I was doing the list of all the programs, I kind of took that piece on because being a parent, I wanted to really find out what was out there. And the majority of the information I got, I think total we ended up with 26 programs. Is that right? And 20 of them were on that list. And then the members sent me various other ones. And the only thing I really did find out was even sometimes putting in those key words into a Google search, those programs were very, very difficult to pull up, even going to the institution's website. Oftentimes when I would go to the institution's website and hit and do a search, I would get an article referencing the program, but I wouldn't actually get any sort of specific link to the program. So it was, as a parent, it was a little bit frustrating, but then, the members were really great and everyone helped me gather the information and things like that. But it would really be nice, and I know I say it every time, but it would really be nice if those programs were a little bit more upfront on an institution's website, to where it's very easy, within a few clicks you can get to them.
Taylor, go ahead.
Sure, it's Taylor. I just wanted to second that what Agatha said. We see that frustration in parents that come to us, and if we have a parent that's out in the middle of West Texas that's very rural, they may not have ever even heard of 25 of these other programs. So we want to give them that best chance to have the same access to information, so that equality of information access as somebody that would in suburban San Antonio would have. And so in my thinking, how do we get that marketing out to them? I think we really need to rely on the coordinating board and push for them to help us get this in the hands of transition specialists. So at the end of the high school experience, parents and families and school districts also know there is this one landing spot. There is this one catch-all area. So whether you provide assistance to 10 students in Amarillo or you're working with 300 students in Houston, you know, everybody across the board follows this same, here's all the information, this is where we go to get this information. And these are what the programs do. I oftentimes have to explain to parents, here's what this program does compared to what our program does. And I wish that there was a place where that would just be easy for parents to land on and they would know right away with graphs or maps or whatever. So I think we have to just rely on the coordinating board to help us in pushing that through their initiatives as well.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, Taylor, and a comment that Linda made, I don't know what that phrase was, Linda, that you were thinking, like a simple site or something, but I do know that the coordinating board has a website now, collegeforalltexans.com, that makes no mention of Texans with disabilities or Texans with IDD. And so if they're really going to live up to the website of College for All Texans, it should be inclusive of students with IDD within their content. And so you were just mentioning having like a map on College for All Texans website. There is a college locator where you're supposed to be able to find colleges in your area. Maybe we should be inclusive of programs for people with IDD there. I don't think that we need to create something separate. It just needs to be inclusive.
That's a good point, Ashley. And these are the type of recommendations that we could probably fix on just within our advisory council and the coordinating board, is just identifying those gaps and making a recommendation so I can work with leadership and make these proposals and advocate on behalf of the group, saying this is what we need. So if we're not pointing these things out like you're doing, I can't say I'm just going to take everything or know which specific aspects we want to work towards as the group to make sure we are inclusive, because that's a very vital point that you just made, saying, hey, we may not even need to create this whole other one-stop shop, but within everything else we have, let's just make sure we are inclusive and we have our special population or this specific group, we have our space within that as well. So, so yeah, great point.
Yeah, I will definitely add that to our recommendations for this year, because that is a great point. And I had to do that with ACC even, because their last slogan was ACC was for everyone. And I was like, whoa, hey, you need to advertise us more. Than if ACC is for everybody, then it needs, you highlight our program. And so doing that, we have been highlighted more within the college. Like Agatha was saying, it is hard to find all of these programs, and ours included is hard to find on the website if you don't know what you're looking for. And so, yeah, I think that is definitely a recommendation that would be an easy fix. Just add these programs and just have like a filter where you click, programs for people with disabilities, boom. And all those programs come up. That would be an easy filter to do. And so I love that. And it also ties into things I've heard Sue say, where she was hoping we could create like an interactive map, like Think College has. But yeah, I never even thought they have that already. So let's use what they have and see if they'll. I'm almost leaning towards both. So having a section where we list our list and our resources and all of that's, I can't think what I'm trying to say. That's has all of the information that a parent could need. So the best practices, the college list, the resources, the agencies, the recommendations, all of those things, recommendations for colleges, like putting it up front on their website, those kind of things on one page, and then also recommend that the website, or that they include us in that College for All list. And I think that way, you know, the more the merrier, I kind of feel. So that way there's two avenues somebody might stumble upon the programs, and I don't think you could have too many. So, well, you could have too many if it gets confusing, but you know, that way they could find them there, or they could find them on our one page that we're going to help or have. So yeah, we're going to add that to the report. Thank you, Ashley, for bringing that up. Taylor, go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing got me thinking. When they talked about the SMS push text notifications about going to college, and that could be an ease of access kind of thing, we had mentioned the last time to that group, hey, you need to make that more specific for the programming. So take it a step further. Instead of just asking, you know, about disabilities and it goes straight to the disability services office, ask and prompt different questions so that they can land on our pages as well. And they can come to our program pages instead of just going to the disability services pages. I'm wondering if those two groups, whatever that page is that's already there, the College for All Texans site, can mimic some of the same feel, and you know, everything goes towards a certain direction similarly, so that both those systems match. So if there's 26 different things that they can go to on the website, there needs to be 26 different programs listed within. So they just need to kind of sync up would be my suggestion.
Great suggestion, Taylor. And I think once we have the content to build out the knowledge base for this chatbot, we can easily align that. We'll have control to be able to make that happen. So it's just about making sure we have the content. And once that content is uploaded, we can definitely control the narrative and how that is, you know, received for these individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely.
I know we're doing a lot of like brainstorming and thinking right now. So I think a lot of this is going to have to come from, you know, like the committees and having something more direct and tangible, saying these are the recommendations. This may be an immediate, or this can be in the future, but at least we have those hard recommendations down, and that's just something that we can include on our activities report. And if we're able to get the content by the end of the month, great, we can add that as well, and saying, hey, we're just waiting for the site to be created or uploaded for us. So those are the things that I think, as I feel is next steps to make sure that we don't lose any of this that we're discussing.
Yeah, and that's what Waylon and I had met before, and we were kind of talking. So these are the things. Yes, I want to get this list. That's one of the reasons we want to get this list done, is so that we can make these recommendations, so that when it's up and ready to go, it can be put on there. But also to kind of add as goals for the next group or next year for this group as well. That way, if there's anything we don't get finished, or like we get these things finished, but they haven't been added to the website yet because we're waiting for that platform to be completed, that way we make sure we add it as a goal. So these have been completed. Here they are. Our charge or goal, you know, recommended goals for the next group, or, you know, next year is X, Y, and Z. And that way they don't, you know, go away. So because of our limited time this year and all the transitions, yeah, let's get these things completed, and then we'll make it a goal to make sure that they get implemented the following year. All right. So with that,
One second, Christine.
Yes.
Sue, did you have something? I see your hand is up.
Oh, sorry.
I forgot I had that up earlier, but that's okay. I just want a quick question, Waylon. If you could get us the list, or can we reach out to you outside of this meeting to find out who that contact person is for our college, for those of us on this council, because there's not that many that have programs that are on this council. You know, we've got Austin Steps, we've got HCC, we've got Texas A&M, we have UT. We are on this council and we don't even know who this is going to at our institution. So if you could tell us who
That's
it's
true.
going to, then we can reach out to that to make sure that they understand the importance of this and what, you know, how we're involved and that how, you know, and make sure accurate information. I'm concerned about accurate information getting to you all, because even though I was involved with the first report, some of those people aren't even working at our institution anymore that I was talking to back then. And I'm sure there's some people now that are going to, if they get that report to do the data collecting, they're not going to even know that I'm on this council or that what's, you know, they're not, just like what Christine was saying. Because it goes, a lot of times they just, when they see disability, it goes to ADA, disability services or something like that, you know, or it goes to institutional research and they pull up their data. But for those of us that have special programs, we are the masters that know what we're offering and what, you know, for that checklist. I only remember filling it out myself one time, which means that all the other years that you did send it, I never was even contacted. So I don't even feel that the information about my program is even accurate or about, you know, I just want to make sure we know who those people are somehow, if we can.
Absolutely. I can give you that information. And in addition, well, myself, I only did it 1 year. I only been over this one, you know, from last year. And even then, I'm pretty sure I sent it out to everybody on the council that was at an institution. I even included you all so you could forward that to the respective person or have yourself fill out. So if you didn't get it, I apologize, but definitely it's something I'll converse and reach out to you to make sure who your contact person is.
Yeah, thank you, because I don't remember seeing that for the data collection. I don't remember seeing anything about the data collection.
I don't do that. So let's clarify the difference. The data collection for like if you're serving a student with disability and how many of those students are, that's another side of the house with academic.
That's what I'm talking about. That thing that goes out to get the reporting, because those people are not necessarily giving accurate information if they have a program on their campus necessarily. And sometimes that's what happened the last time. When you look at the list of colleges who was contacted on the list for the data reporting, before we even started our council, for the data reporting, I know for mine, I don't feel it's accurate for the numbers of students that we're serving and that kind of thing. And all, even the services and all of that, because I was only involved the first year. There wasn't even an advisory council, but I remember they reached out and because there were people in our college that didn't know what was going on. So I gave them the heads up that this was legislation and that this was, you know, required and mandated to get data collection. And there was actually webinars and phones, you know, meetings by phone across Texas, because a lot of they didn't understand why they were having to collect this data. So once that was clarified the first year, then the data was supposed to be collected, I don't know, the next year, the year after, but I never heard anything more after that. So I'm concerned about that. Because it's getting lost. It's going to somebody in institutional research or somebody higher up administrator. It may filter down to ADA, but those of us that have special programs that know, we're not getting that information, but we,
So I typically handle just the inventory. Just, do you have a program? Are you providing services? And that other side of the house is more in depth as far as the actual.
So there's two. I see what you're saying. Okay, I get it now.
So that's why I wanted to clarify that difference. But at the same time, I can still figure out who may be that reporting person, and it should be. Every institution has a CBM reporting, designated reporting. So, and most likely it's probably somebody in institutional research that has, and they pull that data. So you can even reach out to them, say, hey, who's responsible for reporting this data? Please include me before you submit these numbers, just so we can review and make sure it aligns with the stats and data that we have at our specific campus. Because a lot of times they may only include a specific population that's not inclusive to what everyone else is doing or these other programs and services. And we need to identify why aren't they being included when you pull this data and research at our specific campus. So either there's some within the student information system, they need to tag these individuals or so forth so they can be accounted for, or just trying to find that gap for that. So that's something that our sales need to probably try to reach out and figure out on our individual campuses as well. I can definitely try to
I
get
will
that.
reach out to our associate vice chancellors and our research and all those people. I can reach out to them to ask those questions, but I was just wondering if you had like a list or with a contact person for each. So I would kind of know, but that's okay.
I don't, but I can pull it and I'll get that for you.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you.
Hey, Waylon, does your team also administer the recruitment survey?
Partially, yes. As I don't receive the back end information per se, but I can open the survey up, send out the information to complete, and then I work with anybody trying to gain access and approval of logins, and then they receive the other data on the back end if I'm not able to see it. So it's more like an interface that I'm able to work with, but they have it on the back end, if that makes sense. is more clearly, what are you looking to ask? Like what information are you wanting?
I mean, the reason I'm asking is because it seems like it would make sense if kind of the people Sue was talking about receiving the survey for inventory of programs, if that needs to also mirror the people who are receiving the recruitment survey.
Got you. Okay. No, I can work with them and see what that alignment looks like.
And that's something we can add to the recommendations too, right?
Let's
see. And next, I really want to, so we still have to just finish that up and basically just polish it off, add those couple things. And so do I have anybody who would be willing to volunteer for that? And Taylor and Ashley, I sent you guys that letter, the link to the 60/30 letter, by the way. But back to the college list. Is there anyone who would like to help finalize that? I'd be willing to help. Okay, Leanne, and I'm willing to help. Anyone else? I think we can do it. Oh, and okay, Jennifer, Agatha, Leanne. I'll just send it out to all of us and, see what we can do. Okay, so I'll write you down. So Leanne, Agatha, Jennifer, and myself.
Something else I would like to add in, Christine. I met with TWC with vocational rehab, and a couple of you all work closely with Aaron and a couple others, and they are looking to get a similar list or a comprehensive list and to start identifying programs that they can support as well, or find ways that some of these programs may meet the requirements that they can add, financial support of their resources as well. And if it's some that they can, maybe we can identify and put a little logo or identifier next to these when we list them on the website or something, saying, hey, there's additional resources and support for these specific programs, and link them to TWC or Voc Rehab for that. So I know we're just now those discussions, and a couple of you all will be working closely with her on that, but just wanted to bring it up to the committee and let you all know that it's something working on the back end.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I have a list, Jennifer Hines with TWC. So I have that list, and I work with Aaron very closely about what, in a lot of them, I'm the contract person for them. And so, yeah, putting a little logo would be awesome. She did contact me that you guys had the discussion, and I have a separate list so we can double check that it's accurate. But I mean, they are changing yearly by like 4 or 5 programs. I mean, it's amazing at, lightning speed, how many new programs colleges are producing. So
I've been calling this the new revolution. I love it. It's just catching and just exponentially growing, and I just couldn't be happier.
I did want to clarify though, are we counting ones that are private? Because there are ones that are coming out that are, they are replicas of a university-based program, but now they're going privately. So do we want to count those? Because some of them we do sponsor.
Yeah. So
private.
I would be on the agreements that we need to include.
Okay.
I would think so. I was going to say, unless
them,
there's a
even
rule
though
that
they
we
may not be
can't.
able to receive public funding from the state.
University of Houston, St.
I'm sorry,
Thomas is one of them. I know that.
Okay.
So I'm having a lag time with my internet, so I apologize if I'm jumping in and out. But I was going to say, I think we should include them. And it's because, again, that's the part of the inclusiveness, even though, we may not get the data from these institutions as far as the disability or the students that they're serving with disabilities and those sort of things, or being able to provide financial support or along those lines, because we are public or state public focus. However, we still work with private institutions, and we still need to provide or share these resources for this population. So I'm all in favor for that.
I was going to ask you, is there any rule that we can't? And if not, then yeah, let's add them. The more
not to my knowledge.
Okay, awesome. Then we will, what is that saying? Ask for forgiveness, not permission. No, I'm just kidding.
You said it, Christine.
Well,
All right.
So we can, the TWC is paying for some of them that are private. So we definitely want to list them because maybe, Courtney Ward can't sponsor, but they are getting public
Absolutely.
funding. So yeah, 100%. Okay. And I've put that note down, and then I'll send an email afterwards to Leanne, Agatha, and Jennifer some times to meet. Add that list, although I know Agatha already has it, but add the list. And then I put a note that we need to indicate TWC supported, and then also make sure that we have included private institutions on that list as well. Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else we want to add before moving on to the next agenda item? All right. Well, we're going to go to the next agenda item, which is the resource and agency list. This will be, I think, the biggest charge we have. So we may not be able to get it done, but we could at least get it started is my goal. So I know we only have a few weeks now. So we could at least get it started and then put on as our goal as, for this to be updated the following year with more agencies and resources. But we could at least get it started because we know a wealth of resources and agencies just being in this, from parents to program, from directors to TWC. We all know what's out there. So if we could compile that list, we could. Originally, we had thought that we would create a committee for this, which I think we still can. I had just thinking on the fly, what do you guys think about creating an open document that we all could add, list agencies that we know, and that way, and I noticed some of you can't use Google Docs. Is that true? I tried to share and it didn't work with some people's emails. Anybody? Because I was thinking we use a Google Doc a lot where we can all add in my program, and I'm not sure. What do you guys think would be the best way? The other thing I was thinking was you could email me a list because I know we have a list at AC or at Steps. So we could all email the list to me and I could then forward it on to the committee who's doing that, and then they could compile. What do you guys think would be best? To have an open document where we all could dump to, or have everybody send their lists to me and then have a committee that compiles, and I'll open it up for discussion.
My 2 cents on it is it might be best to have a central person that things get sent to, and then the committee hashes it all out from there. That's
Okay. I think that will be good. That way, we'll have a little more control over what's being put in the document and duplicates and all of that. So, all right.
I think too, just sometimes putting one central person as the point of responsibility on it just kind of gets it done.
Absolutely, yes. Last time, I noticed that from last time we didn't, some of the committees just didn't get going, and that's because of that. So yeah, so let's do that. All right, so I don't want people to spend a ton of time on this because, like I said, this is going to be an ever growing list, but I would like to get a good list of possibly at least 20 resources and agencies together that we can submit on this report, which I think would be pretty easy. Do I have anyone who would like to be in charge of that committee? I think it would really take one meeting after everybody emails to really compile. I don't think it would take very long.
I'll go ahead and do
I'm
it.
going to be in Michigan all next week. I won't be back till August 11th.
Oh, yeah.
But I have probably over 20 community partners that I work with already, that I've been working with for a number of years. And a lot of them are some that others are also doing. Everything from, TWC is included in there. The ARC, parent to parent, family to family. I could go on and on and on and on and on. I pretty much know a lot of those. So I have no problem putting together a list and everybody maybe share it, and then everybody kind of, because there's other agencies that we may not be aware of that people are using, but I don't mind coordinating a meeting, to sort through. I don't mind being a point person to get the information, and then, but I'm just concerned if it has to be done between now and August 11th, I'm going to be in Michigan. So I may not be the best person, but when I get back, I can certainly set up a quick meeting to sort through all of this. I have no problem. I could submit you tomorrow, the list of all the ones that I know that pretty much we've been working with for years. And some of them are state, some of them are local, Greater Houston, some are, you got the ARC, the state, the local, you got the Greater Houston Disability Chamber of Commerce. I mean, I could go on and on and on, all the different groups. Linda knows a lot of the different groups.
Right. Are these the ones that offer transition services? Is that what we're headed for?
No. Just resources and agencies that assist students with college in any way. So it could be like Bloom, it could be TWC, those kind of, so they don't actually have CLE, those kind of programs that they do that they're not actually teaching the students. They don't have a program, but they assist in other ways.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is this doesn't even need to be a meeting now that after hearing Sue, if somebody would be a point person, we could all just send our stuff to that one person and they compile. It really wouldn't take very long. Agatha, yes. Would you like to do that?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I kind of put together the list when everybody was sending in information before. So I'm happy to do that. And I can get some sort of formatting. I guess, Christine, I can just have a side conversation with you once the information starts coming in, and we can figure out what is the most important. So I don't mind being that person.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Agatha. I'm in a course 3 days a week for all of August. And so I have a good list, but I would rather have you compile it. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate that as well. I have lost my partner in crime. No, my assistant director has taken another position. We also are down 2 teachers at the moment. So I'm a little frazzled, but but it's going to turn out fine. At least that's what I keep telling myself. So
I'm happy to do it.
that.
I think I have, out of everyone being kind of a parent, I feel like I have the least amount of information to bring in, but I'm happy to do the compiling that you guys sent to me.
Awesome.
I'm
Wonderful.
curious. Sorry, I have a question again.
Okay, please.
So do we have sort of a commitment or a thumbs up from the coordinating board that, you know, you're compiling this content, that they will put it on the website? I guess one of my thoughts or concerns would be, you know, we refer people to Bloom Consulting, and that is a private business,
right?
And it's found on a state's website, and you can't control. So do we have any parameters for what could be included or shouldn't be included?
Yeah, Waylon, do we have parameters to what could be included as resources and agencies?
I wouldn't say specific perimeters. If we can identify and we work with this group of individuals and can confirm they're truly a support group for these students, I don't think there'll be a reason why not to include them. So once we compile the list, if there's any that I don't think y'all would submit anything that should not be inclusive or included in this, but I can definitely let my team do a review or internal review for it. But I don't see any pushback, especially if it's coming from the council. And we know that if you are sending this list or these community groups or agencies or private groups, public, private, whatever they are, if y'all sending your students and families to this, why can't we? And that's the message here. So I don't think there's any pushback from that.
I think as long as you know whether they're public or private, like Bloom's is private and it is pricey.
I mean, we do business with public and private entities, so
okay.
I don't see there's an issue with that. I mean, I do grants with private institutions and businesses. We consult. We do all these things, so I don't see there's any pushback. But long as I mean, I think we're vetting these groups and. So if we feel comfortable enough we're gonna put this on a state page we're comfortable enough to know, like, hey, we believe in their services or programs and what they're offering to make sure it reaches the students and families or other stakeholders.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to bring up, Ashley. I just think from where we sit as a council, I think it would be to our advantage to put everything out there, and then Waylon and his team will filter out what can and can't be, but we've done our due diligence to put absolutely everything we can find.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Waylon, if you run into any pushback, Sam Houston State University runs this huge transition program and they hire Bloom. And so if we can't put Bloom down, we can put their programs down.
Oh yeah.
And do it that way.
But I think we'll be okay. Like you said, you guys work with private and public, so I think we'll be okay.
Absolutely. But thanks for sharing that as well, Linda. So.
Yes, and that's all great things to think about because we are new to this, and so we're not sure what can be included. But I think that's true. We'll add everything, and then the Texas Higher Education Board is going to go through everything before we ever can have it put on a website anyways. So again, this is kind of the theme of today's meeting is more the merrier. So compile them and then they can weed out any that may seem, so if you guys think it's a good resource that parents have used, let's send it to Agatha and then we'll compile it. I know I'll send my list. And so I will send out an email to everybody as well, just to remind everybody to send their lists to her. I would say, let's say, send the information by the 6th, no later than the 6th to Agatha. And then, and I don't think it'll take very long after that. And then we'll meet Agatha after that. Maybe on the 6th we'll meet I have open availability that day, strangely. There's nothing on the calendar. So yeah, we'll meet on the 6th. I'll email you after this and we'll come up with a time. And yes, and then that'll give us time to compile. Okay, Agatha, 6th meeting. I gotta take notes real quick. Thank you guys. The last agenda item is, I have so many things open now. Implementation recommendations. I don't know if we have the time to do this. So I'm just going to throw it out a couple different things. We could create well, we're already going to, okay, I'm thinking on the fly, sorry. So we could, let's put it out there like this. We don't have time to do a committee. So if there's any recommendations that we have or that you think we should add to our report this year that we have not discussed yet. We've talked about a lot of things that we're going to add, that Waylon's added to the minutes that I've written down. If there's anything that we have not spoke about, but you really feel passionate that should be added as our recommendation for them to implement, email those to me. Let's discuss it right now. And then, you know, I'll create a list. If there's anything else after that, you can email me. I'm going to start compiling the data the week of the 9th through the week of the 9th. So if there's anything that we have not put on or not added in our meetings that you think should be added, you can either address it now or email me after the fact. So I'm going to open it up for discussion. Any other implementations we should add to our report this year that we have not discussed? Linda.
We talked about it once long ago. Parents are asking for a way to chat with each other about the various programs they've encountered. And you know, it could be done very easily on social media. We might need one of us to monitor it or something. Where do we stand on thinking about that?
I do remember that being brought up in the past. We can definitely add it as a charge for the maybe a goal for the following year to look into and see what can and cannot be provided through the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. It could be as simple as a parent listserv even, you know, I mean, and those, do people use those anymore? Going back in time, but you know, it could be something, a discussion board, and I'm not sure how that could be created, or even
Or it could be a private Facebook group.
Right. Something that we just recommend, and maybe we manage. I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure what the parameters that we have to stay in are. Waylon, what are your thoughts on this? And is that something
Yes.
you think we should add, or?
It's something we would have to get approval for, to have a social media, because then we will have to put, you know, certain restrictions and rules and those sort of things, because it can easily be taken out of hand, or,
I was
you know, we just
thinking
can't.
that could go off course real quick.
Yeah, the control is yeah, is if this is what we want, we need to make sure like this is what we're recommending and what are those rules and restrictions behind that, and align that to what the coordinating board would ask us to do with that. It's not to say any of you all can't create a Facebook page and share that information, create these communities and those sort of things, but to have an official coordinating board private Facebook group, it could we'll have to go through an approval process for that.
Okay.
There may be other measures to try to create like communities of practice or for these parents where we host, maybe some webinars every three months or something to keep them engaged. And so that's something, we could recommend and do amongst ourselves, or just find an alternative methods for communication. So we really need to just figure out what we really want, and let's kind of go from there. I think Taylor
Okay,
had
thank
something.
you.
And Taylor?
This is Taylor. I really think that we should push that direction, just like we did with like the Pete's maybe. So if we have that idea, I think it's a great idea, Linda. I love the idea and the concept of it, but I can see also where Waylon mentioned that could get out of hand fast, and who supervises that, and what if a parent's upset about something and they start putting things up on the server, and who manages that at that point. There's a couple of organizations that I think we have already identified. Maybe we persuade them to take on that charge. Parents Resource Network could have a separate side of what they do, and maybe they have that listserv, or maybe they create that Facebook page, and we help provide guidance on it. But I just know it is a lot to manage, even within the parents within our own program. I'm just, expanding that and multiplying it by a lot could be a lot of different tangents that you have to deal with. So I would say we make that suggestion for the existing ones.
If I were to put it on parent to parents, for example,
Mhm.
I would want one person from each of the 26 programs to be a member in case something was said that isn't accurate by a parent, then they could correct it.
I love that. Yeah.
So there is a lot to think about to enact it.
So I think, Nina, I know you had a point to make. I think we should definitely add it as something for next year to look into deeply. I'm definitely thinking this could be something, like Taylor said, Pete might be interested in taking over. Nina, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm first going to make a comment that one of the parents in our post-secondary program had reached out to a parent group at UT, and thought maybe we were part of that group, and it brought my awareness that there is a parent group on the University of Texas website, and they had membership fees, and it was for them to kind of learn more about the university, the resources for parents to connect. So, we had a little bit of a conversation like, oh, would we add our program there? Would that be, okay or not okay? But it just kind of got me thinking about the inclusiveness too, about, other universities and programs. Is that possible to find out, what those parent groups are, and would that be helpful? I mean, if particularly all the parents, in those post-secondary programs found that a space, plus they learn more about the university and the resources there, because our students are being able to use some of the university resources with our post-secondary program. I mean, they're not official students, but that could be something to think about.
And we have had a parent mentor group in the past. The thing with those mentor groups is you have a parent running it, and when their student graduates, it falls apart. So currently, we don't have an active one, but we are working to create it again in the fall. So yeah, it would be very easy to link. I know I see Sue nodding their head. I know a lot of us have this, either a parent advisory group or something. So we could connect all those. I don't see why not, but how, and I think it's a big conversation, but I will think we should definitely add it to the report for something to start looking into for next year, some sort of parent and or student social media connection or group or listserv, something. I'll figure out how to word it, but I do think, adding a sentence on a parent group of some sort. I was even thinking a parent, just like our council maybe they could create a parent council similar to this, where they, parents of past students who have been through some programs, something like that, where they, come up with something that fits them. So I'm not sure, but we can definitely add it to the report.
I'm sorry, I have a question real quick.
Yeah,
Nina,
go
did you say that was a paid parent membership? There was some kind of membership fee? Is that what
Yeah,
you said?
I believe so. I can look for that link and send it to everybody.
Okay. I mean, I would just say as a parent, that might be something, especially if I'm just wanting to connect with other parents on a short-term basis, where I would be like, I don't want to commit to a membership, and that may turn me away, and I'm not accessing that. So I think looking at a way where we could find some kind of space where people can kind of, if I'm here for the long term, or I'm like on an ongoing basis, or maybe I just want to speak to another parent about a very specific issue, and maybe I'm going to leave and come back, but having that opportunity where there's not that commitment for parents who may have a whole lot of other things that they're juggling as well.
Yes, it is very limited, and it's only to that university. And I think Linda's point was bringing together all the parents right across the different programs. So, there's pluses and minuses.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I definitely think it's needed for many reasons. I know a lot of our parents, a lot of the discussion in our mentor group was, how to step back. and I know, and then what independent life skills should they start with to teach, and I had worked with a group for a minute creating, we hadn't really came up with a title, but we were calling it Leave the Nest, or, how to because we were talking about that movie, Failure to Launch. And so we were thinking, somehow, how do we launch them into adulthood, right? And so something around that, but that might be, a commonality between them. And so I definitely think it's something we need to add and look into, because we have talked about parents in this group before. I do think we decided we had to limit it because we couldn't take on everything. But if this continues in the future, I could see us, that being something that future council members or us next year, or however it works, I'm not sure, start looking at. But if not, I'm kind of charging some of us. If some of us want to get together who run these programs, we could create a Facebook page very easily that would do that. So if we wanted to do that on the side, outside of the program, that would be very doable as well.
And I also just wanted to add, and I'm very interested in this. I'm happy to talk more offline. That whatever we're connecting people to, whatever we may be creating or providing, or any kind of outreach, to be really mindful of Spanish-speaking population. In another capacity outside of CTD, I work with an organization primarily serves Spanish speakers, and there's a real desire, there's a real lack of access, and so I think we need to be really mindful about that.
Thank you. I am so glad you brought that up, and I will definitely add that as a goal for next year, because we have that same, we're starting to develop literature in Spanish as well. And ACC has their own ESL department. And so I've been working with them to try to get somebody who is trained on our program, so that, I have one contact I can send them to. So that is something that has been a problem in our program. And I'm sure that, the rest of you programs as well. So, and it's also very important and something I've been wanting to tackle. So I definitely think we should add that. Thank you for your input, Jolene. Anybody else want to add something? Because we are towards the end of our meeting, and I just want to make sure that we're thinking of everybody's time. So if there's not anything else, if you have anything else, just email me. And before August 9th, if you think of anything, so that I can start, because that's when I'm really going to start compiling our data into our report. It is not a long report like we had to do last year. It's a fairly short report that just goes over our meetings and then our recommendations and our, possible goals for next time. So, is there anybody else who would like to add anything? Yes, go ahead, Agatha.
This is, sorry, this is just a side note. I was just wondering, we get, a lot of emails, and like Waylon's really great about sending out articles and things like that. And my inbox gets really jammed up. And I was just wondering if I could ask the committee to maybe not reply all with everything. Like some things are a reply all, I get, but like saying thank you, sometimes I just get a lot of like, thank you for sending that. And it's so sweet. And I think it's nice, but like, just send that to Waylon if that's okay.
I do understand, having to click through, it is true. And we do have quite a bit of people on the group. And so it does, end up being like 12 times the message comes back into yours. So just be selective with your reply all. If it's just thanking Waylon, just thank Waylon. If it is for the whole group and you have something to add to share, then yes, reply all. Thank you. That's a great thing to think about. We are all very busy. And we do, on the concept of time, that does it. I understand. I feel the same way sometimes where I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't need to open that. And so, so just be conscious, I said that funny, of everybody's time and just reply all. All right. And so with that,
Nina, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to say, do we have any announcements?
I was just going to remind folks, I remember Beth saying we, spent a lot of time with all those recommendations on that first report. And I thought she had mentioned that maybe we should prioritize or choose some of those for implementation, or kind of write out like what would implementation look like for some of those recommendations. Is that something that should be put in this next report? And Beth, if you remember anything on that, or.
That's what we're going to chart. We're going to add some of those, but what we're going to do is basically say we ran out of time this year. These are things we would hope would be a goal for the following year.
Okay, I would guess I was thinking of some of those other recommendations, like having, TWC be at the first transition meeting. There was something about IDA, but there was just a lot of good recommendations, and I couldn't remember if it were putting those into implementation or making those goals for what would implementation look like for the next committee. So it's kind of like prioritizing some of those and then writing out what implementation would look like. Am I the only one remembering this, or does that sound familiar?
No, that is the D. When we were doing the 4 outreach things, that is the last thing where I said we don't have time, because we have to have everything compiled into a report and submitted by September 1st. And that is a month away. And I know there's no way that anybody on the board has time to do that. And so that's what I was saying, just send those to me if there's something you really feel like needs to be added in our report. But we don't have time to create how to implement that, because that is going to take quite a bit of time. So we are just charging that to the next year. Yes, Beth.
Sorry, I am just going to share my approach, which again, I think Waylon can chime in into what we need to do for this report, but I don't want us I personally would not recommend that we say just because we couldn't have something implemented that we didn't make any progress or that we ran out of time. I think that planning and getting groups together and collaborating and looking for data and all the work that we have just discussed is a lot of progress and takes a lot of work. And I think it's okay to report that we made that progress and that we're still in planning stages, and not to say, oops, we didn't do it, you know, because we aren't fully implemented. I mean, I know our council projects can take, 5 to 10 years to really be fully implemented, but we're still making a lot of progress along the way. So I just want to acknowledge what this group has done and hopefully write it in a way that demonstrates that progress in a year and what we have done to move towards the implementation of those recommendations.
Absolutely. In no way was I going to put any of that. I was just going to add it as a goal for the following. Yeah. So here is what we have done. Here's what we're charging the next group, or, the next year. Absolutely. Yeah. Because we have done a ton of work, and it was with a lot of challenges, transition in, leadership. We also are still very much in the pandemic. And so, we've had a lot of challenges. So absolutely, it is it's a very small, so it's bullet points. We don't really elaborate on anything in this next report much. It's just our what we've created. We add all that, and then we put, here's what we've done, and here's what we think should be done. It's a much smaller report compared to go ahead, Waylon.
Yeah, I just want to, Beth, you made a good point, as far as we definitely don't want to negate all the progress and work everyone has done and put into this work, because we've made significant progress. Because I remember last summer, man, I don't want to say we don't have time, because last year y'all proved us all, proved everybody what we can do within a matter of, 6 weeks in essence, So at this point, the activities report is pretty much showing the minutes. We met the 4 times that is required by statute, and then just highlighting some of the takeaways that we've done within this past year, and putting those, like a bullet point saying this is what we've done, the progress we've made. But it also gives us an opportunity to, if we want to add an attachment and with some additional context and language, we can add that as well. So I'm not saying we can't add it now or anything like that. Just know it's definitely a highlight of some of the accomplishments we've made, and it offers us an opportunity to submit any additional recommendations that we might not have included in our previous report. So if any of those recommendations come forward to Christine and y'all want to work through those, by all means, continue that process. Even if it's not, we can't include it by the end of the month, at least it's still being worked on and y'all making progress, because who knows, I may be able to include them at the last minute or some sort. But at the end of the day, it may be worth.
It may not get added to our report.
No, right. That specific tangible may not be added, but we can still highlight the progress. And what I was going to say is, you may be able to even step back and think about, what does that progress look like?
Yeah.
Want to come together and saying, what are some of the highlights that we've done? And y'all start creating this narrative to include in that report. So again, these things can be done by email. It can be done, I know, within a week's time, because I probably have to turn it around within 24 to 48 hours once I get it to shape it all up. So it is very possible. So just each one of you may want to just think about, okay, what are some of these highlights, if any, that you may want to make sure it is included in the report, and send that along to Christine so she can kind of group them together and make sure it's included in our overall activities report. So.
And it can still be something we work on, because we still have one more meeting this year. We just those recommendations the specific recommendations won't be added to our report, because we have to submit that by September. But we can definitely put that it's still ongoing, and then put, here's our goals for the future. And that's really, the takeaway. It's just, we just don't have enough time to complete it now, but we can definitely add that I want it to still be a goal. We can even still create a committee to take that on, and that could be a lot of what we discuss in our last meeting this year, which I think is in October. Is that correct, Waylon?
Yes, tentatively scheduled for October 29th.
Okay, so it's just that the report is needed before we're actually finished with the year. So, but yeah, I do want to create that, because that is number one, really. We can say all this day and night, but until we all know, you can say, hey, let's do this, but until you lay out the steps to do it, no one's going to do it, right? Until it looks easy and there's a how-to. And so, yeah, absolutely. I do want to create a how-to on how to implement our recommendations and which ones to focus on first. We just won't be able to include those specifics in the recommendations. So, all right. Is there any other announcements or recommendations before we adjourn for today? All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything, and I appreciate everyone being here today. I'm trying to pull up my script. Hold on.
Just get a motion to close.
Okay. And with that, can I get a motion to close?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. A motion. Do I have a motion to second?
A second.
Okay, Linda motions to second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Seeing none, or all opposed, say no. Seeing none, the motion passes. This meeting is now adjourned at 2:46 on 7/30 at the 2021st. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Waylon. Thank you, Kristen. Bye,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
You too.